Right. I think this all works. Which is good because I thought my internet was never going to work again. All that aside, good evening to anyone that's listening. As PMQs was not on this week, even though Parliament was back in session, I thought I would look at a few things that had occurred, cropped up, popped up, whatever. Things of interest that I found to be quite fascinating. And it was either this, talking about recent goings-on with the Salisbury incident and Brexit, or First Minister's questions in Wales. And as more and more people join, I'm sure we can resolve this and decide whether or not to continue once I've exhausted the Novichok discussion and Brexit. Whether to end, obviously, or to continue with something like Welsh Minister's questions. Because honestly, I don't know. I should probably not have my microphone so close to my face. I'm just moving that. Sorry about this. Is Wales a country? No, it shouldn't be, but it does have a devolved administration, and they even have their own parliament. And their parliament, to be honest, their parliament is quite interesting. Much like Scotland's, it's set around in a circular room, although it looks like a stage. Maybe they rent the space out to someone else afterwards, perhaps a youth centre. The space for the bouncy castle or the trampoline. What with the curve of the room, I'm more inclined to believe it's a trampoline. And they also have, obviously there's very few of them in there, maybe a dozen, 2 dozen, not even 2 dozen, no, it can't be. But all of them, even the speaker, get touchscreen, like, TVs in front of them. You've got to think here. UK Parliament is in this crowded chamber. Obviously it's historical and it's beautiful. It's old, it's got history. Then you go to Scotland and Wales, and they have individual spaces allocated for individual people, which has arm space and a desk and a TV. For God's sake, half of them could be playing video games and or watching pornography. I think it would be quite amazing if they were, by the way. I would like to see a few ministers get caught out on that. And yes, it's definitely Wales. But we're not going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about something else. So for that, I'm going to pop something else on screen for a moment. I'm going to pop this up. This is a statement that was issued by oh god, who was it? The OPCW Chemical Watchdog. Now, whether or not you agree with them or not, whether or not you think they are a credible source or not, this is quite damning, and that's a problem. What with the whole Syria thing that's going on right now, and oh my life, Syria, oh god. First of all, whether or not there's proof Assad did in fact put chlorine, use chlorine and kill so many people with it. And Russia's involvement in that, whether you believe any of this, all these compounding issues with Russia's involvement in that, and obviously Russia's involvement in this, apparently. It's kind of, I don't want to sensationalise, but it does make it seem like we're edging closer and closer to a kind of war, especially as Theresa May has thrown her weight behind Donald Trump and agreed to military action, but it has not gone before Parliament, whereas last time it did. Last time it was like a 12-hour debate. It was fantastic. The only problem was, I don't support the military action, of course I don't. But the people promoting a passive approach, unfortunately, did not provide very good responses in the debate. Jeremy Corbyn being a perfect example. You want to protect as many lives as possible, so obviously you don't want to condone airstrikes. But alas, it gets more complicated, and the recent goings-on in those areas Oh dear. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Oh, and that's all I get here. Russia threatening to shoot down anything Trump sends over, and with Britain taking America's side. Oh dear. Oh. Right. So this image you see on the screen is the statement by the OPCW. Is the chat showing on this? Let me see. Close enough. Hello, Irate Bear. I don't know if you wanted to join me after we talked earlier. You went for a nap, and well, this is quite a boring one, really. So, note by the Technical Secretariat. Echoes of Bush and Blair. It is, yes. That's the problem. It really is a problem, and it's such a. You know what? I'm not. I'll get dragged into that, and I won't read the thing I put on the screen. That's fine, Bear. I can. You know, food's more important. Summary of the report on activities carried out in support of a request for technical assistance by the United Kingdom, and blah blah. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland requested technical assistance from the OPCW Technical Secretariat under subparagraph 38E of Article 8 of the Chemical Weapons Convention. I touched on the Chemical Weapons Convention in, I believe, a stream I called the Salisbury Incident. And I think I left a link to that there. Yes. And I cannot remember off the top of my head what the bloody CWC... I think it's like a list of things that are prohibited. I think. Where is it? In relation to an incident in Salisbury on 4th of March involving a toxic chemical, allegedly a nerve agent, and the poisoning and hospitalisation of 3 individuals. If a memory serves, the daughter was recently released from hospital, which is fantastic news. And I believe the police officer was as well. I don't know about the father. I'm not sure. Oh, I can see the writing. I just can't see the names. I apologise for that. The team received information on the medical conditions of the affected individuals. Ah, yes, Sergei, foreign, and Miss, and then foreign, the daughter. And Mr. Nicholas Bailey, I think he's the police officer. The included information on the... Yeah, no. no, we're not. That may as well... I know it's acetylcholinesterase, say, whatever. It doesn't matter. Status hospitalisation as well as information on the treatment regimen. Oh, do read. I have recently discovered I can't read anymore. I'm illiterate. I'm changing my name to Floyd Mayweather Jr. Yeah. Anyway, the result of the analysis by the OPCW designated, and this is on the 10-bit, designated laboratory of environmental and biomedical samples collected by the team confirmed the findings of the UK relating to the identity of the toxic chemical that was used in Salisbury and several severely injured 3 people. Okay. Basically, this entire document confirms that Novichok was used. Although the argument being presented by people like Boris Johnson on this is that this does confirm that Russia was involved, because Russia has a track record. I don't want to be that guy, but a track record doesn't mean they were involved. Or am I being too obvious here? Maybe it's just me. Yes, thank you, Okinito. I'm so glad you understand me. Anyway, as far as I'm concerned with this, while it does confirm the findings of the British forensic scientists on this, it does not confirm that Russia did it. Again, because it just says that it was in fact that chemical. Boris Johnson tweeted out that this was conclusive. I don't agree with you, Boris. Maybe I'm just being a bit too skeptical. But I don't see how this proves a thing. And I don't like that this is being used to create more hassle. Not that I think for a second that Russia is innocent, and I don't agree with Jeremy Corbyn's idea of sending a sample to Russia for them to confirm it. Honestly, Russia should instead confirm that the location in their country when this particular Novichok was created, then have it tested with a sample if any exists there. I don't know if they still have any, but if they do, they're in breach of the Chemical Weapons Convention for having it, I believe. So it does make me wonder if Russia's willing to put themselves out there and take the heat, because they will get some if they have any, or whether they're going to try and purge it, or throw it down one of their oil wells or something, I don't know. Put it somewhere where no one will find it. Perhaps somewhere really, really obvious in all the tea. How about that? You're rather good at that. You don't like it when your agents leave, so you give them a glowing cup of tea. Yes. Anyway, let's go back to here. Yes. Because there was something related to this. Where is it? Ah, stupid tabs. There we go. Right. Oh, here we go. There was actually a video on the article. I don't know if I can pull it up. I don't think I set up a tab for this. Let's have a look. Aha, I did win. Oh, Cliff Richard, you poor thing. So on the Sky article that I've linked, which is where this all comes from, there's this little video, and I thought it'd be a great thing to just play it. What's the chances he poisoned himself? He had access to it before defecting. Quite true. But it obviously does sound like at that point you just... It almost sounds like a tinfoil hat thing. So I'm not too sure. Let's see if I put money on this, that there'd be a fucking advert on this. There better not be an advert.
Oh, another pick request.
Piss off. I'll just mute that. Clearly no bet. Utterly ridiculous thing to do. I'll let that play for however long. I can't skip it. I should get ad block, shouldn't I? Why let Sky have all the shekels? Yes. And before we do that, because I'm really silly, I should have said hello to people in the chat. I noticed I wrote that after all. Right, let's do it. Oh, it's 3 minutes 25. Fan-freaking-tastic. Hello to all 17 people. There you go, I've done it. See, I'm clever like that. Yes, let's have a little look at this. Can I change the volume, or is it not going to let me? You're not going to let me, are you? There we go. That'll do. Right.
Amongst the slumbering fields of southern Russia, there is a quiet town with an unusual resident, a scientist who says he played a key role in the development of nerve agents. His name is Vladimir Uglev, and he told us he was willing to talk about Novichok. Mr. Uglev...
Before he does that, though, I have to point this out. Novichok is not a single thing. There are many different versions of it. Yes, there's one like base part of it, but it's almost like a signature with so many different variants. I think it's 50, or was it 100? There was a lot of various different variants of it, and I really should have put the chat somewhere so I could read it. I do apologise for a moment while I ignore this entire thing for a second. Blum, 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 blum. Actually, no, I can just press play, because I would put money also on Sky claiming this afterwards.
...is retired, but he doesn't want us to go to his home to meet him. He's given us a spot just off the highway to pick him up, and this is clearly a very sensitive issue for him to talk about. We're just hoping he turns up. He was waiting for us at a bus stop, and he blamed us for the cold.
No one cares.
But that didn't stop him from speaking about his secretive career. In a quiet spot by the sea, Mr. Uglev said he invented 2 of 4 substances later classified as Novichok at a facility run by a fellow scientist.
I also want to point out that just because he confirms that he made 2 versions of Novichok doesn't mean that this was it doesn't mean that the O blah 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 blah, I can't remember what they're called now. Scroll up, find out. They're called the OPCW. There we go. it doesn't mean that their findings coincide with this. It's just a way for sensationalizing the story. Oh look, someone did in fact make Novichok. Let's talk to them, because that'll totally give us quality results and make it seem like, you know, like Russia actually did this. It doesn't prove anything. Whatever. Let's continue. Let's hear the confirmation that this man did in fact make it. By the way, it was either this or listening to Tony Blair talk about Brexit. And I've still got that tab open. I am so close to doing that.
Вот и я оказался у кирпичов в нужное время, в нужное место. Там работали люди десятками лет, ничего не добивались. А я через 3 месяца получил 2 самых перспективных вещества.
The UK.
I should apologise, because even I, with the view I have, can't read that. So if any of you could, yeah, sorry. And in fact, we should just move on, because this is silly. Essentially, this all boils down to a watchdog confirming it. Whether you want to agree with the or value highly the integrity of the watchdog in question or not is up to you. I personally am inclined to be like, you know, I'm on the fence on whether or not whether Russia was involved still. I'm still on the fence on that. But we do now know it was Novichok. We know Russia has developed Novichok, which I guess was the whole point of that video. Just confirming that somebody was involved in it, or someone allegedly was. I don't know how you go about confirming it without, I don't know, some pictures. I don't know. With the fact you had to pick up the guy to begin with and take him away, I guess he was very scared for his, or could be considered scared for his safety in that regard. Is that the underwater view new, or have I just not been paying attention? Laura, you have not been paying any attention whatsoever. That's been there the whole time. Clearly your attention was elsewhere. Stop looking at my dick. Anyway, let us move on, because honestly this Novichok shit is going to get worse. Yeah, it's going to continue. Even after Sergei, whatever, foreign, gets out of hospital. If he does. We know it's going to get worse. I assume he, like his daughter, will just want to get on with things and continue as if nothing happened. But the press won't let it go. The government won't let it go. Obviously, they're not going to, and they're right to not. They want to pursue this and find out who actually did it. So I get that. I just don't give a shit. Tony Blair touched my bush. Yes, well, we're certainly going to, might talk about Tony Blair soon enough. For the next part, we're going to actually look at an article. Look at this. I did this. Remain Group launches £1 million drive to stop Brexit by forcing a second referendum. For fuck's sake. Earlier this week, as a lot of you know, I've been quite busy with making videos. Because I just have no life. I think that's the excuse I'm using. Anyway, Tony Blair was I talked about Tony Blair, sorry, and his views on Brexit. Sherry Blair offends and hurts my eyes. Yes, well, it's not every day you get to see a hag in a dressing gown, and I remember that thing. But the Brexit thing has gotten really silly because Tony Blair, he's thrown himself back into the political game somewhat. And he's been firmly in favour of Remain. Of course he is. It's interesting though when you look at previous Prime Ministers, and even if you go back to John Major and Margaret Thatcher, they stood against the EU and wanted to remain sovereign, even though John Major somewhat changed his tune over the years. Not surprising, he's a little bitch. But anyway, this is really, really irritating. I do also want to state, yeah, they do. Tony Blair has millions in the bank and a massive house in the centre of London. Okay, he has a place to live. People protest it outside it all the time. It's quite funny. Anyway, I get that 17.4 voted to leave. I think it was also 16.4 voted to remain. So I get it. You're going to fight. But what you're fighting for now, you're fighting to remain or call for a second referendum under a pretense. Now, the pretense is that people are going to now change their minds and vote to remain because of all the hassle that's happened since. But that's just scaremongery. And also, you've got no proof that that would happen. I've had people in my comments say that they voted to remain, but would now vote if a second referendum happened, leave. So clearly this is not provable. And you can't go by a few statistics from London, which I believe is where you derive one of your studies from. No offence to London, because you're quite a vast city, of course you are. And you're not entirely, totally unified behind the idea of remaining or leaving. But you can't use London to judge the entire nation, because we found out during that referendum, that London doesn't speak for England. England completely outvoted London. England demolished you. No offence to Londoners who voted to remain or leave, but honestly, I'm focusing solely on these salty fucks who won't let it go. And it mentions here, I will scroll down in a minute, but the cross-party push fronted by Tory Anna Soubry. I've seen her talk a few times, minus the smoker's voice. She's actually not a bad politician. And Chuka Umunna was thought to be the future leader of the Labour Party. In fact, he was in the race, I believe, with Corbyn before Corbyn won. Chuka Umunna was touted as the guy that was going to win, but then he was outed as a guy involved who was a part of a men-only club, and he decided to pull out because he didn't want his personal life on blast for too long. I'm like, you fucking what, dickhead? You can't for a second think that you can be in the running for the leader of the opposition. And I will admit, Chuka Umunna, I almost got behind, because not only was he young, but, well, actually no, that's pretty much it. He also was rather interesting in debates on Newsnight Question Time. He was actually quite good at arguing his position, so I'm fully behind that. But unfortunately, he quit because he's a bitch. I don't even know if he's in the shadow cabinet these days. He might be. But then if he was, he'd just be another token, maybe part black person. Anyway. I wonder who's funding this £1 million campaign, by the way. Is it another George Soros project? Oh, hang on. Tinfoil hat on. Sorry. Dubbed the People's Vote, the campaign brings together 9 different Remain groups. 9 of you fuckers. Oh dear. I don't follow much of this, but I wonder how many variants of white people are racist, English people are racist. Maybe they went with Britain first, but not the racist kind. Maybe they went with that. That could be the slogan. Britain first, but not the racist kind. Yes. The People's Vote. Okay. I gotta touch on this. You've dubbed it the People's Vote. Well, the people did vote. 75% turnout, which is pretty fucking good. That was better than the election before it and the election after it. Both of them. The turnout was better for the referendum than it was for general elections. And one of the excuses used by Remainers was, well, the turnout wasn't 100%, so surely you can't speak on behalf of the 25% that maybe weren't able to vote because of reasons. And also because 75% of a turnout, that doesn't represent all the people if you include children. So, what? That's right, you take a 2-year-old to the polls then. See how that works out for you. You know damn well that child's going to have a tantrum. Right, so the Sir Bill Cashier, a really old guy. I've seen him in Parliament a few times. I have been so tempted to answer his questions, because obviously him being a Brexiteer, he's asked a few times about that and roads. He'd be a shit ANCAP. And he's accused them of defying the referendum, which he's quite right to do, because they are. Okay, maybe they are, maybe they're not. because obviously I do agree that you have the right to be a colossal pain in my ass, because that's what you are. At this stage, we've just gotten to the stage where we have just gotten to the stage where we are in a position where we're now negotiating trade. I know that David Davis recently managed to get through something to have a load of people sent over to talk about trade envoys to start getting this done. We have less than a year left. And to compound that rather complex negotiations in various areas of trade, we have people trying to stop all of it from happening. Oh, and as an interesting note, Parliament gets a final say on the negotiations, on the whole thing, on the deal, but they don't get to vote on the current military action that's about to take place in Syria. Are you out of your fucking mind? Doesn't matter, I'll get sidetracked by that. Oh, and that's Anna Salisbury. In case you couldn't tell, this is the maybe black guy. Maybe. He could be a Scouser for all you know. Just saying. Oh no, I didn't scroll far enough. Let's go up a little bit. Smoker's voice. Wait, give it a few years. Should have a tube in here and yeah. Yeah. Anyway. So he's told them that people are defying the British people who made the decision that was given to them by Parliament itself. Interesting to note, Parliament could have, yes, I said of on purpose, Laura, could have ignored the will of the people entirely. They could have. But when they didn't, they showed that they were respecting the will of the people, which is the whole point, really, isn't it? If you don't respect the will of the people, then why are you even there? And this also is one of those things with Parliament that bugs a lot of people, because they don't seem to be able to relate to the people. And it has been mentioned in Parliament. Oh, who was it? I can't remember who the politician was, but one of them stood up and said that we're supposed to represent. First of all, it might have been Jacob Rees-Mogg actually. He first of all said it was in response to someone else that by calling people not in Parliament ordinary people, we separate ourselves from them like we are better than them. Oh, that isn't a quote. I think I've summarised, but I remember hearing him say this. And this elitist kind of attitude from Parliament is what alienates what was earlier known as the aforementioned ordinary people. Scousers are thieves. They are. They're so loyal as well, though, that they'll rob their own football team that they're loyally supportive of while they're playing away, which I believe they did to Pepe Reina and Steven Gerrard. Maybe Jamie Carragher as well. Doesn't matter. We're publicly organising over 300 grassroots events on Saturday and a launch event on Sunday. Yay! I can hardly wait to see all the people turn out for this crap. Okay? We got here, the campaign launch becomes as the Brexit talks enter a new phase, the earlier mentioned trade. This is, I mean, come on, it took this long to agree on quite a few things. Not much done at all, in fact. So now it's quite, oh god, that's a horrible picture. Let's scroll up a little. There we go, some writing instead. It's quite concerning that it took them that long to get this far. So obviously it's good that they've gotten so many people now involved to try and sort the mess out. Well, certainly the trade part's going to be difficult, I guess, since the EU have their own rules, and while both sides have agreed they want a bespoke deal, it's going to be tricky nonetheless, because some are going to have to be flexible on tariffs and agreements. I also know that I don't know if any agreement has been reached on the Good Friday Agreement yet. I'm not sure. If it has, that'd be great. By Good Friday Agreement, I mean the Northern Ireland and Irish border. I'm hoping. Obviously, while I don't give a fuck too much, because honestly, I don't have a reason to. I'd obviously want a soft border. But I can understand if there's a hard border. It won't be enforced by the UK. It will be enforced by the EU. So if they can agree some terms, then that will be handy. And hello, Tiger Lily. There's one thing worse than Scousers. The dirty scummers from Southampton. Yes. Yes. I'm from the south, but not that far south. Thankfully. The Brexit Secretary has been wrestling with civil servant Ollie Robbins, Theresa May's chief Brexit advisor, over what can be achieved in trade talks. I just don't care. I don't know if it is still this or not. Oh, that advert, scroll up a little. If it's still the case or not that we hold a fair amount of power with what we bring to the table, and whether the EU is going to ignore it or not. Because I know that their chief, the EU's chief negotiator, has had to backpedal a little, because it was quite hostile to start with after all, and then it sort of eased up over time. So I'm not entirely sure if it will stay that way or not. Anyway, because I'm done with that, let's scroll up to these two idiots. Yeah, there, yes. These two feckless idiots, and all the other feckless idiots that are doing this. Oh, I haven't actually scrolled up properly, have I? There we go. You are an insult to our system. Well, you are well within your right to, be massive cunts like this. You are insulting 17.4 million people. And by doing it, I think the almost smug look on your faces, I can almost see it through this, to be honest, because it's sad that you would willingly ignore them and represent and in this instance it would be the minority. But also, by doing this, you continue to perpetuate this idea, this myth, that the majority of Brexit voters are stupid. Which you are doing. There's no ifs, no buts, there's no way of saying it any other way that isn't sugar-coated. By continuing to act as if they did in fact vote incorrectly, you insult them. Stupid messages. Ignore that. Right, yes, so I'm done with that. I could, if you wanted, Eastleigh, I know where that is. If you were interested, I could, that's a look you get when George Soros' money tickling your balls, yes. I was considering playing a little of Tony Blair's Brexit speech at the Speaker's house, because it kind of sounded, when I listened to all of it, like a different tune to what we'd been hearing. Like, he said some things I agree with, but it almost seemed like he had softened his opinion. I don't know if it was because it was the first time he'd thrown himself back into politics, after such a lengthy holiday being a philanthropist, making millions and millions of dollars. Yeah. Or whether it was because, he's so passionate about us staying the bitch of Angela Merkel. Anyway, if you do want me to play that video, which is on BBC iPlayer, just press 1 in the chat. I'll put it on the tablet if you do. Let's see. Do that. Is that scaled right? Screw it. It's close enough. So yeah, if you do, just press 1. If not, I can just end this early, which is fantastic, so I can go to bed. And while it is early, it's because I've got work at 6. 72. Fantastic. Well, I got a 1 at least. People were salt of the earth. Yes, they were. I remember Tony Blair is Scottish. Yeah, that he is. Oh, I keep forgetting this. It's really weird because his voice is one of the softest voices I've heard in politics. And it's one of the weird things because he, even though he's a soft-spoken man, he can still raise it. Like when he was in Parliament, he could still shout people down. But with such a soft voice, it made very little sense. And you've got David Cameron after him, Gordon Brown even, Even though he's a bumbling fool, his voice was booming. Cameron's voice, booming. Theresa May's cracks under the smallest amount of pressure. Scottish independence now. Right. Yes, it is a shame it's not from a prison cell. And I don't know, I do not understand. A lot of MPs voted against the Iraq inquiry stuff being made public, and that annoys me. I think he should be in prison. He and George Bush should be bunk buddies with Dankula, you know, so he can insert his Pringles tube in them. Cameron is not an English name. Maybe not, but it's his anyway. Okay, right. How does this position? Ah, that's quite loud. Fucking. Right. Oh yeah, I watched some of this. So that's
of the House of Commons, and the moment I stepped in, and I was about 27 years old, I just thought that this is the place I want to be.
Gay. Let's skip ahead.
Brexit.
Fantastic.
So on one thing, everyone is agreed. Brexit is the most important decision this country has taken since the end of World War II and the commencement of modern British history.
Debatable. I don't know what happened with us joining when the EU started. I don't know if that was a vote for the people or if that was a Commons thing to begin with. I would have thought that was just in the Commons. Maybe it is actually.
It was taken by referendum on one day in June 2016 with a simple majority of those voting and by a margin of 52 to 48.
Conclusive then.
At that point, self-evidently, there was no knowledge of what the alternative to life outside the EU would look like.
Better than life inside the EU. The whipping boy bitch of another country, or many other countries, that would essentially get to vote us down all the fucking time, break us down, and make us the bitch of everything possible. To the point where people would continue moving into this country unchecked. To the point where we were unable to control the very basic parts of our lives. Where a lot of us would end up fleeing as refugees to America. Because our country would be fucked. I suppose they haven't expanded the Schengen region to the UK at this point. Honestly. I firmly believe we are better off outside, where we are able to do suitable trade with many other nations that then wouldn't have to pay ridiculous tariffs as a part of the EU.
But the country voted to leave, and the government was mandated to negotiate the terms both of exit and the new relationship.
Not entirely true. They weren't mandated to because they didn't have to. They didn't have to legally do shit. They didn't have to at all. Not even a joke. David Cameron is first generation English from a Scottish family. Yes, he is.
Since the 23rd of June 2016, as the negotiation has proceeded, so has our appreciation of what Brexit entails.
A better life.
The negotiation is complex.
Only because neither side's willing to budge on their ideas. And they're both... I'm surprised there isn't a picture of this yet. Of whatever the dickhead is for the EU negotiating on one side and David Davis on the other. Both with dummies in their mouths, pouting and facing the other way with their arms crossed like, I ain't gonna do what you tell me.
The future relationship around trade is technically fraught. There are many different versions of what Brexit will mean in practice, ranging from staying in the single market and customs union to going out without an agreement.
Before he says going out without an agreement, there is no Brexit deal that would that we should accept, where we are still a part of the single market and the customs union. We have to leave the single market because we want to negotiate our own trade. That is well established by a lot of people. I think most people can agree this, because we are then bound by EU rules on EU trade. We're bound to it, which defeats the whole point of leaving to begin with. When we were given the ballot, it said leave or remain. Leave was the option obviously I went with. Some of you went remain. Many more went with both. The fact is, leave means leave the EU. I don't know why this seems complicated. It means leave the customs union, the single market, possibly the courts as well. We have a few terrorists we couldn't get rid of. But I do think a lot of those laws need to be enshrined in our law. It means leaving the common fisheries policy. It means leaving a whole host of things. Okay, let's carry on. Oh, also, is this coming through clearly for you? Like, is the volume okay? Or do I need to turn him up or down?
And trading on WTO terms. One other thing has emerged. There are different views about what is an acceptable Brexit outcome in Parliament.
Up a smidge, right, okay. Turn him up a little. And no, I'm not having problems with Discord, Bear. Okay. Shit, I actually didn't even hear what he said. I was not paying attention. Let's go back a little.
Fraud. There are many different versions of what Brexit will mean in practice, ranging from staying in the single market and customs union to going out without an agreement and trading on WTO terms. One other thing has emerged. There are different views about what is an acceptable Brexit outcome in Parliament, in the opposition party, and not only in the governing party, but in government itself and even the cabinet.
Which I think is a good thing. I don't think with something so vastly, supposedly complex, you want to have a totally unified government. Obviously you want a basic message, but you want to be sure that those in your cabinet challenge you enough to make sure either your ideas can be changed and altered, or they are cemented. I know that this is a snarky little remark, by the way, at the fact that you've got Boris Johnson in the cabinet. I think there's a couple others as well that voted Brexit. Gove, maybe? I don't know if he's in the cabinet or not. He's a twat. But he also being a leading Brexit voter. I don't see how anyone having a differing opinion is a bad idea. Or a bad thing. Because of earlier stated remarks. An irate bear. I am logged into Discord, Discanar. I'm just invisible. Because I've been busy. Anyway, as far as government being divided on this issue goes, I don't see any issue. I don't see an issue with the shadow... Okay, I'd be a bit of a hypocrite if I didn't think it was okay for the shadow cabinet to not have a consistent view, but theirs is quite funny. Because I think at least 4 different shadow cabinet members have given different interpretations on what Brexit is, and not one of them was the same one that Jeremy Corbyn said. I think that's quite funny. But again, I don't see this as bad. Debate, divide, good. Because it encourages discussion. Ah, fuck it. My apologies for that. Thank you, Lord Omegon. Your voice could make a dry mop moist. Hope things get better in the UK. Thank you very much for your donation. That puts me a lot closer to my blanket. Very important blanket. Yes. Flattery will get you everywhere. Let's continue listening to whatever drivel this is. Oh, in a second I will actually, because something popped up on my phone. Blair should stay in his kennel on Bush Ranch and stop yapping. Bush does have quite an impressive ranch, I have to admit. You know, he did well for himself though before he was president, I believe. Anyway, let's continue listening to Blair. I'm not sure if we're going to do all 32 minutes of this, but I see no reason to stop yet, because this brings up many different and very interesting points about the subject of Brexit. And certainly hearing it from Blair, who continues to bleat on about Remain, to hear this kind of language is quite interesting, because he's talking quite vague at the moment. I'd rather have you and Boy George in charge. Boy George is a fascinating person, okay? He's the only guy I know who I've actually met who's tattooed a hairline on his head. I mean, that's certainly brave.
So, in a rational world, this would result in an active and thorough debate about the mandate the June 2016 vote bestowed.
Very true. Also, am I the only person that remembers Blair from back in the day? And all the hand gestures he used to do. He was a very... I don't know what you call it when you use your hands to express a lot. I don't know what that... There was a word for it. Emotive, maybe? But anyway, it's very weird to see him just talking. The pauses are very normal. I remember freaking Dead Ringers doing a lot of impressions of this guy. Was it Dead Ringers? I think it was Dead Ringers. It was quite amusing. And back to what he said, debate is fundamental to all of this. Which is why when Parliament gets a final say on the deal, there's going to be a debate, and it's going to be big. It's probably... I would put a fair amount of money on this. I reckon it'll be as long as the Syria airstrike debate. Possibly longer. Because it's not going to be just that they've got the deal in front of them and they make some statements here. There are going to be a lot of MPs that want to talk about nitty-gritty aspects of it. Because until then, they don't know what the deal is. They don't know what's going on. You've got the select committees, talking about all the different key elements and trying to get David Davis, obviously, to give more information than he can. Obviously, he can't show his hand too much, but he does have to pass off some information. Which I think expressive, yes. Gesticulate, that's the word. Thank you very much, Laura.
Wasn't a mandate to leave on whatever terms, in whatever circumstances.
No, quite a lot of voters that voted to leave because they wanted, and this is one of the most key elements, they wanted control of our borders. And by that included immigration control. This is a promise that had been long promised by previous Prime Ministers, including you, a promise to reduce immigration numbers. And you all failed. Even Theresa May has failed. And she's failed on many other issues, including, and I think I still have the article on my tablet, and yes, I said tablet. I believe it's an article from the Telegraph about waiting times being even worse in hospitals now. They've actually gotten even worse, which is just fan-freaking-tastic. You know damn well when Parliament does PMQs, hopefully next week it does Parliament PMQs. I really do. I don't want to have to do Welsh Ministers' questions. I mean, I don't mind the idea of showing you Welsh Ministers' questions because it's quite adorable to watch a bunch of sheep shaggers talk about shagging sheep. But honestly, I don't care enough. I want to focus on the key issues, and you know the NHS is going to come up. We know Syria is going to come up, especially because Parliament isn't getting a vote on it. So it is quite interesting, and I know Brexit will as well because, well, why not, I guess.
Or can we read into the mandate some qualification relating to the effect of different Brexit outcomes? If it is the first, then there can be no revisiting of the decision, irrespective of what it means for the national interest or the economy.
Even though you're one of the idiots that put forward the idea of leaving the door open to rejoining at a later date. Although, I will slightly backpedal and point out that it was because you said that the EU would... Germany and France would have to use their weight to force through reforms of the EU. But as we now know, that's not going to happen. Macron won't do it. And nor will Merkel. Merkel can't, because she doesn't have the power. She had to create, what, a three-party freaking coalition just to stay in power for a 5th term? Wow. Desperate dictator much? And she didn't even backpedal on her immigration policies. Because she's, like, totally caring about the German people.
If it is the second, then plainly it is logical, once we know the terms of the negotiation, that the people have a right to judge whether they want to proceed with that negotiated version of Brexit.
Yep. I can't add to that. That's fine. I have no issue with that. This is why when the final deal gets put before Parliament, Parliament's going to vote on it. And as we now know, Parliament is incredibly divided on this. So I don't expect for a second it to be... Okay, so let's say this, right? So the final deal comes through. Yeah, Discord had an update earlier today. If the final deal comes through and it goes before Parliament, right, and it gets voted down, how many minutes after that will Theresa May resign? Just have a guess. Because if she doesn't win this, she's screwed. She's already going to look weak. She's going to look even worse, actually, because right now, with what she's doing, and somebody made it quite a good point, full SJW, the identitarian nonsense, with the fact that the NHS is actually getting worse. I don't think it's a money issue, though. I think it's how resources are being applied. I firmly believe that. Because the NHS, they set their budget, okay? They're the dickheads in charge here. There was something else as well. What was it? Something else she's done. Oh yeah, the Syria stuff. That's not going to make her look good. I think there have been instances where, and I've said it multiple times, that Corbyn has made her look good, but I don't believe even he can make. Ow! I don't believe even he can make her look good. Thank you very much for that. It's amazing all the smart people use cartoon personas to make fun of and debunk people in power who think they are smart. Yes. My cartoon avatar is gorgeous, by the way. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I didn't see the rest of that message. I should probably check that again at some point. Yes, so let's continue with Tony Blair, because he is quite special, and we've gone 5 minutes into 32 minutes, and I think I've derailed myself at least 3 times. I do apologise for that.
It is a matter which reflects in the most profound way on the state of our politics.
It's time for Mog, is it? Mog's an interesting one, because I don't think he's up there with that ludicrousness with like Trump, because when Trump was running, I was banking on him winning in 2012. I was like, yeah, he's going to win in 2016. I remember seeing this, like the first post on a personal Instagram account. The first one's a picture of Donald Trump, and I put underneath, he'll be president in 2016. 12 comments underneath, all of them say, get fucked, he'll never do it. And then the last one, the most recent one, it says, well, you called it. But the Mog one is interesting because he's fascinating. He is against a number of things that I don't support. Like, he voted down the Iraq inquiry stuff. I know this. I checked his Parliament action page, like what his record, what he's voted on. Oh god, I sound like a Valley Girl then. My apologies. But he's also, obviously, his religious beliefs, while they haven't actually played a part in his politics, he's unashamed about it. I don't know why that bothers me, but it does to an extent. Some of the views, anyway, the marriage one. Although I never really cared for the word, the marriage thing to begin with. I always thought that if you're not religious, then maybe it shouldn't be called marriage. Maybe it's just be called union, or let's call it a tax break partnership. Even though there are no real tax breaks involved, it's just a supposed incentivized system which doesn't actually benefit married couples in the slightest. I'm not talking from personal experience, I just talk to a lot of married couples. A number of whom keep asking me why I'm single. It's a mystery. Doesn't matter. Let's continue with this before I get completely off topic.
That it is the official position of both.
He did. Yes, Blair, he did. Oh, the Hillsborough thing. Oh my god, what a twat.
Main parties in Britain. That the first is the correct interpretation of the referendum decision.
Okay, in the chat, I would like everyone here to simply tell me what the result meant. The correct interpretation, when on the ballot it said the following: leave, remain. Tell me what the interpretation of the result is when you only had 2 words to choose from. And Andrew Stevens with the win. The correct answer is leave. Thank you very much for that. And that was very fast.
i.e. the British people voted to leave on any terms, or indeed on no terms. Such was the vehemence of their dislike of the...
He's quite right now, vehemence of the EU. The dislike of the EU wasn't helped or alleviated in any way by the Remain camp, who surely would have wanted to have gone out of their way to educate the Leave voters. So, England, a small pocket of Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, a tiny corner of London. I'm sorry if you Leave voters in London, I really am. You really shouldn't have gone down the path of saying, if you leave, we'll do this and the economy will go there. It'll go straight down and tank and, oh my God, we'll fucking burn. The Leave... Are you... Yeah, well, I can use Discord for voice if you want. Give me a second. If you're free, Irate Bear, I can just call you. Let's try this. So, in theory, I should be able to call Irate Bear if he's going to be able to answer.
Hello, darling.
Hello, sexy.
I was looking at your Discord going, where the fuck is he talking from?
I don't, you don't have to use Discord if it's just you.
Oh, yeah, of course you don't. Of
Yeah.
course you don't. But I did wonder whether you'd gone in there because I did express wanting to come in here, didn't I?
Yes, you did. 8-Bit Thought also showed interest, but I did mention to him that PMQ wasn't on this week, so hopefully I'll get him on next week with PMQ, because he'd love to do it with you as well, to respond.
Oh, okay.
That could be fun, the three of us shitlording it up on PMQ.
Yeah.
What did you think about... okay, so what is your interpretation of the vote?
Oh, what, to go to war?
No, Leave or Remain.
Oh, my interpretation of the Brexit vote.
Yes. What is the interpretation
well,
of... It should be just Leave, shouldn't it?
Well, of course, if Leave wins, then Article 50 is supposed to be
enacted,
enacted, and then we begin the leaving process, which is supposed to take 2 years. That's it. End of story.
We do have a transition period now, which I believe is a year.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be outside of the EU until 2021 now.
As far as if memory serves, that is, yes, it's going to be a bit longer than a year then. Which is not, I don't take issue with that as long as it's done. I don't see Theresa May in power. If she fails to get this through Parliament, she's done. It's over. I mean, this Syria stuff, she's screwed now. I'm sorry, but
oh yeah,
this is absolute dog shit.
Yeah, as I've been saying, and as I said in my video earlier when I spoke about it, she is guaranteeing a Labour win.
That is the scariest
in the
part.
next general election.
That is the scariest part.
You've got people like me who are nationalists, who are fairly right-leaning, and now I'm backing Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah, Belial in the chat. What does MP stand for? It is a member of Parliament. They are a representative for a constituency or a small pocket of this country or nation, kingdom, United Kingdom. Some actually are for a north part of a city, or some, like mine, is an MP for 2 small towns put together. Although I believe at some point that's going to be revised in the near future because there are a lot of MPs and I believe they want to reduce the MP total. Which, if memory serves, would have meant that Islington North would have been robbed out of the border, the area. It would have been erased. It would have just been Islington, I believe, which meant Jeremy Corbyn's seat would have been lost. Oh dear. Lords are MPs too. I don't... Are they? I think some were. Oh no, some are. Some are elected peers, like Chakrabarti, is that it? She's an MP, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
And she's in the House of Lords as well. Okay. Did you want me to continue playing this video?
Yeah, sure.
Can you...
The European
Are you sharing it?
It's on the stream. I can give you the link to it if you want to have it on your end.
You can do screen share on this, can't you?
I don't know.
There's a screen share button next to the camera, which is next to leave call in the Discord.
Turn on screen share. Quality. Application window. Right. There we go. Oh, that was loud. Thank you again, Thor, Bear, and Omegon stream. Name of stream could be Thor's Moist Bear. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for that donation. Can you see this, by the way?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. Lots of tabs.
In other words, this decision on that day, by that majority, in that way, has had the consequence of bringing into being a mandate which is comprehensive, all-encompassing, and eliminates further discussion of the wisdom of the decision.
No, it doesn't. In fact, if anything, this just encourages further discussion and debate, which is what has happened over a year and a bit. I'll let him carry on.
Just roll that round your mind for a moment.
Okay. Yeah. I've done it now, but my opinion's still pretty much where it was. By the way, we should collaborate at some point. This is an unofficial Bear and Omegon collaboration. Unofficial.
If you say so.
Unofficial.
If you say so.
Wait, do you want this to be the official one?
Ow! Well, I mean, I'm not so sure you actually want to work with me, mate.
Of course I do. You know I do. I said to you earlier in DMs I would. I want. There are a few
you know
creators.
I'm a nightmare.
Only because you write scripts like a Nazi, but otherwise I'm quite happy to. I'm quite happy to work with you. Are we supposed to have? Are we supposed to have a lovers tip now or something? I don't know. Are we supposed to hug afterwards? Oh, you're in my next video. You're in my next video, by the way.
I saw that you put me in not your most recent, but the one before.
Yeah, I'm trying. I need that clip of your wife smacking you so I can put it in my next video. Cause
yeah,
I
was disappointed, mate. I was. That's what I thought I was gonna get, but no, it was an older clip that you'd already used.
Yeah, because I haven't got the smacking clip. I don't have it.
Oh, I'll just have to create a new one for you.
If you can send it to me before 9 AM tomorrow, perfect.
Sounds good.
In no other dimension of life, let alone politics, in no personal decision that any of us take in the myriad of different situations which require decision in our lives, would we take such an all-defining direction to a new future in this manner. We wouldn't move jobs in this basis, move home, marry, or divorce with such a whatever the terms abandon, as apparently we have chosen to do, in this case, of the most momentous decision for the direction of our country in modern times.
Which is also more commonly known by a number of millennials as an absolute betrayal of their future, and in fact all people should have their votes cut in half to represent the number of years left they have left on their lives. It was so it was so undemocratic. I get the gravitas of the situation, I really do. I understand that. Which is why when I made my vote, I made sure it was as informed a decision as it could be. It wasn't just...
Yeah, I listened to as many debates as I could.
Same. And it wasn't like... I'm not including the Sargon Thunder one. That was just embarrassing. That was also... all that did was show how self-serving a number of Remain voters are.
Yeah.
I still can't get that clip out of my head of the girl being asked... she got asked, name 3 things she loves about the EU. And she said, "Oh, I love the free travel and the NHS."
I know. I was just like, "Oh, you fucking idiots! Take your blue hair elsewhere, you dozy cunt."
Absolutely. I found it very hard to... People were talking about how uninformed or how unintelligent Leave voters were, and then there's this absolutely perfect clip. I've got a cousin, and I hope he sees this. I hope you see this, cousin. Because he said the exact same fucking thing. When I spoke to that ginger twat, he said the same thing. And you know what I replied with? Wow, being soulless sucks out all your intelligence as well. Imagine my shock.
Imagine it.
And what is more, in circumstances where the decision was only a small margin to the side of 50-50.
Just because the vote was very close doesn't matter. It still means Leave won. I don't care that the Remain voters are going to continue. Those that still want to fight this are fighting, but some of the ways people are going about it, like pushing for referendums, it's just ridiculous. If you do a second referendum,
to quote my non-Down syndrome American cousin, it doesn't matter whether you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
Was that Vin Diesel?
Yes.
Was it really?
Yes.
Why is it I thought of him when I thought of you?
Because he's my non-Down syndrome American cousin.
I can see the resemblance.
There you go.
From the neck up.
Yeah. Well, he's got a bit of a dad bod these days.
He does when he doesn't work out. Oh, I love that. He went for an interview on some shitty chat show. And it was like only a couple of days after that dad bod pic came out, and he was fully ripped again. It's like, wow, he just went for a massive
that
shit.
on quickly.
Yeah, he just went. I bet he just went from. He just needed burping or something.
I do ask, how on earth have we come to such an extraordinary and definitive reading of the mind of the British people? That not merely do we insist that they have insisted that we leave whatever the facts we now discover, or whatever the terms our government can negotiate, but even more extraordinary, that the same British people would resent deeply being given an opportunity to pass judgment on these terms once they know them.
Okay, so this brings up a fascinating discussion, I think, about should the British people be allowed to have a say or a vote on the final deal? This is interesting.
That is interesting.
Because with MPs, and a lot of them, those absolute dicks that they are, the majority of them want to remain. So the deal, how they're going to vote on it is going to be quite intriguing, because they don't. A lot of them have also said, even my MP, even though he's a Remain voter, Charlie Elphick, I think he was a Remain voter, said he'd vote in accordance with how his constituents voted. So he'd vote to leave. He would honour their vote. No, maybe he was a Leave voter.
But there's a problem with letting the people vote on the final deal. Because a lot of people have changed their minds since the referendum because of guilt pushed by the narrative and pushed by these anti-Brexit groups.
Yes, quite right.
And they would vote for a bad deal.
That's actually a point in the chat. First of all, his name isn't Irate Bear, it's Vin Bear, or if you prefer, Irate Diesel. I do actually like Irate Diesel.
Yeah, I prefer the latter as well.
Neil White says, no deal is better than a bad deal. That leaves Britain a vassal state. It does. And also, no deal. People make... Oh, I don't know why people do this. They make a big fuss out of a no deal, forgetting that with the transition period, even if there was no deal, we still have that. And to sign trade deals that come into effect immediately. Now, I know a lot of people also point out that we are heavily reliant on import. But we, being such a huge economy and such a beacon to other nations, I guess, a superpower. Superpower, is that the correct term? We're one of the G7, isn't it?
We're technically not a superpower, but we are one of the largest economies on Earth.
Yeah, so we are quite powerful, influential even.
Problem with our economy is we rely very heavily on the financial sector.
Yes, luckily they
very, very heavily.
Yes, and they've certainly had their moments, but I think that hopefully they learnt their lessons.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Well, do you remember when we first established that Brexit was going to happen, and Australia was one of the first countries to come? Oh, we're fucking do a deal with you, you fucking transphobes.
You know who else also? Or who else did? I believe India did, and I believe Trump even said he would immediately if elected president.
Yeah.
Still, it's just brilliant. And back to the whole letting the people decide. Can you imagine people receiving the full deal, like a paper form or something? Like, sign for this. Every household, it's like 150 or 1,000 pages of agreements. Oh shit!
Fuck that.
Can I have the Cliff's notes? Yeah, it's only 20,000 this time. It would be a mess. I don't think. I would love for it to be the fact that we could choose. Maybe you need the whole transition period to read it. But I don't think the British people at that point could make an informed decision, even with time. I don't know if they could. we'd have to respect.
It's just too much.
Yeah, I think if it goes before Parliament have to act in that moment in the interest of the people. And let's face it, their hand was forced originally to begin with the whole thing to begin with, because the rise of UKIP and this push for anti-EU push was what forced Cameron's hand. He had to do it. He had no choice. Should we continue?
Yeah, let's continue.
By a combination of a pitiful lack of leadership and the bludgeoning of that part of the media dedicated to Brexit at any cost.
Oh, another thing I forgot. You mentioned what happened shortly after Brexit. I believe a lot of banks started saying that our economy would tank. But if our memory serves quite well, our economy actually grew a little. So clearly that was a bit of scaremongering.
Yeah, it did, yeah. There was a bit of a drop for a couple of days, and then it bounced back immediately.
It did.
And that's because the head of the Bank of England,
Mark Carney.
Yeah, he
a Canadian
made extra funds available just in case. And guess what? It fucking worked.
Yeah. I mean, he put himself on the Remain side, and that was quite a poor decision. He should never have done that as the bank. I think Mogg called him out on that in a committee. He did it, but also he did it on Question Time. He was very vocally against Carney for doing that. The bank was supposed to be neutral, and the bank's forecasts were wrong. By the way, Mark Carney, for those that don't know, he's the dickhead who introduced those plastic notes that we now use, which make it impossible to keep them in your wallet. I lost a couple of weeks ago. I went to work and I came back and I had 15 quid in cash on me because I was meant to pick up some food shopping. And the reason I had it in cash was because if I used my card, I was going to overspend. I knew I would. But the money disappeared because it fell out of my pocket.
For God's sake. This is why I only use my card.
Yeah, now I'm contactless. I normally just do that, but for that week, I couldn't afford to go over, so it was like, I'll just use cash, it'll be fine. And then I lost the money. So now I've got trousers with zips on, just so I can fucking hide it in my fucking zip. Oh dear! Can you imagine when they bring out the new 20s and that happens? Oh my god, that'd be so painful.
We're gonna have to put them through the washing machine on a low heat.
Oh yeah.
just to make sure they stayed up fucking on it.
Oh, I'm going to have to buy a paper clip, but I'm worried they'll still slip out.
Yeah.
We have taken the British people to the point where we consider it a betrayal to allow them to revisit the most important political discussion and decision of their lifetime once they are in possession of the full facts which will determine the nation's destiny for generations to come.
Okay, so firstly, I don't like this appeal that, okay, so we let the people decide on this vote, so now, well, it's going to be a lot of hard work, so we should let them decide on this as well. I don't think that works. You gave the people the vote to leave, unless you're now going to try and pass through parliaments, which you can't, because, seriously, I'm not entirely sure you can walk in the room without someone punching you in the dick. But that might just be the speaker, even though he was nice and courteous at the beginning of this. He hasn't aged well, but I think...
No, he looks like a fucking zombie.
He does. Clearly, he hasn't been spending his money wisely on his health. He's still got hair, which surprises me.
I know, I'm surprised.
Yes. But the fact that you want to now try and make it seem like we should also have the vote on this, we fobbed that off onto you. That's your job, not your job. Fucking hell. Wouldn't trust Tony Blair with it. I wouldn't trust him with that. He might try and start a war with the EU. Be like, they got oil. It'd be like, hey, wait, they got oil. Let's go to war.
They've got chemical weapons. No, he wouldn't invade his paymasters.
Laura, the reason you've never noticed this slippy money issue is because you don't have money.
I was about to say, you're a northerner, so...
Okay.
The northerners don't have money.
Also, I'm pretty sure she just keeps it under a mattress, which is held onto the bed frame with gaffer tape.
If we proceed with Brexit, future historians will naturally focus on the impact of the Brexit decision.
Cool. That's not really one of the points we wanted to focus on, though, Tony. In fact, no one gave as much as a shit about it. We all thought, let's leave, because even when we joined, people didn't like it. And this is what really bugs me as well. People who were taking a big old dump on the old people, forgetting that those people were there at the start of it.
That always pissed me off.
I'm sorry.
The kids all moaning about it just because the old people were the biggest demographic to vote out or something. Even though I don't think that's true anyway, is it?
I don't know. Oh, thank you very much, Rothrick. Here you go, Moisty, for your blankie. Oh, I've hit my target. I can buy my blanket.
Hey!
Victory is mine. I will have a tentacle blanket.
Hey.
The old people argument really... I saw this happen in my town. There aren't many people that voted Remain around here. So when they got really leery with the old people about this, I was like, you can't do that. A lot of these people in my area, it's a care home area. These people are... Some of them served in wars, you know. They fought for our freedoms, you know. And I think it's very disrespectful to say your vote shouldn't count as much, even though they got to live through the supposed golden age of the EU, even though I say it was formation and falling apart when you realise that a number of the nations that joined the EU weren't vetted properly financially to the point where they just crashed. Ireland, Spain, Greece, all of you. You fucking...
Yeah, the Mediterranean countries in particular.
Yeah.
Really, really bad idea.
Just Mediterranean countries in general. Do you know what taxes are?
That's like introducing a banana republic into the fucking EU. It's just stupid.
And to address Miss Steam, no, $100, and that included the postage cost, which was rather extorted. And I believe PayPal took a cut as well, which is even sillier. So yes.
Do you think Tony Blair looks like a supervillain there, with those eyebrows especially?
Oh, he doesn't have the Alistair Darling ones though, but he's got. I think his face is still quite expressive. So he's still got it. I think. Do you remember when he was first elected? He had that perm kind of hairdo.
But he looked alright when he first started. He looked healthy, and then when he finised, he looked like that.
he looked terrible after a year. Go and look at 1997 and then 1998. There was clearly didn't get to sleep. Okay.
Tony Blair, 1997.
That was when he got elected, I think.
Okay. God, look how healthy and young he is there.
Just skip ahead a couple years.
Look at him.
Just a couple years.
He looks so good there.
A couple years and then it just starts falling.
98?
Yeah, go for 98. Just find a picture. It will start to look quite obvious.
The grey hair immediately.
There are pictures.
Oh, Christ. Like, oh my God. Like, his skin isn't that bad. Like, he's aged a little bit, but his hair is just turned to fucking dust.
Well, the thing with the hair thing, they showed that with US presidents before they start and after they... Jesus Christ. $15. Here you go, Moisty, just in case Streamlabs takes too much. That was very kind of you, but you didn't need to do that. Thank you very much. Oh
my God, I typed in 2003 and there's a picture of him right here, and oh Christ.
Yeah,
done.
So there's a great one of US presidents before and after. The only one that looked okay was Obama, because I think that's no, and it's not a racist thing, but I think
it is a black thing.
I think it is, because Bush, when he started, when he left, Bill Clinton. If you look at him now, oh my God, he looks like a ghost.
Yeah, he looks like he's got AIDS.
He looks like Hillary's eating all the pies. Okay.
Yeah, but Barack Obama has aged significantly.
He has, but I think
there's a lot more markings on his face, but there's a lot more grey.
But he holds it well, which is what, unlike others. I mean, Trump.
Bill Clinton looks like he's dead.
Is it? Am I wrong to say that after a year in office, Trump doesn't look any different? And we're getting massively off topic. Let's just carry on with this for a little, maybe for like another 10 minutes. No. This is me. I do this all the time, and without PMQs.
Bush doesn't look that bad.
No, he doesn't. His dad's in a wheelchair now, I believe, who was also a former president. Oh shit!
Yeah.
Scroll down. There we go.
But I predict that one major part of their inquisition will be how we as a country were persuaded that we should take such a decision so irrevocably in such a fashion.
So you're trying to put forth the discussion that we should then want to maybe consider voting on the final deal, even though no one really gives a shit about it in the first place. Interesting.
The case that I and others make is not that we ignore the referendum and reverse Brexit by a simple act of government or parliament. It is rather that we honour the Brexit result, but say that the process of decision-making by the people should not cease to exist after the 23rd of June 2016.
Honestly, I stopped giving a fuck about it after I was on a... Oh, I don't know if you were on this stream. Myself, Satirician, Sargon of Akkad, V, Nora and Ethan Ralph of the Ralph Retort, we were on a stream together on the Ralph's channel. I had to get up for work at 6 AM, so I didn't get to stay all night. I wanted to talk to Sargon seriously. Ralph took and he derailed quickly. I think I probably did contribute, but I don't remember. But Sargon left and started his own one with V. So Ralph ended up just watching their stream through his stream, which was stupid. And then I remember going to bed and waking up, going to work, and then realising the vote had happened, and I was like, well, it's like 8:30 in the morning now. I'll check my phone. And they just, I think it might have been just before 8:30, they'd announced the result. And I've never wanted to steal a bottle of whiskey from that pub so fast in my life. I was I wanted to celebrate. I did. I stopped off at the bakery, grabbed a couple Belgian buns, split one with my mum, and we both celebrated. We were very happy because we both voted to leave. My sister didn't vote. And we were quite happy. But then we both like, all right, I'm going to do something else now. Fuck this shit. Because no one didn't care anymore. We did the vote. That was it.
That was it. Yeah.
It's essentially that concept of, you will rock that blanket, you damn right I will. And I will definitely be slapping pictures of that on Twitter. It's a case of, we'd played our part. A part that a number of people had fought for a long time. We'd played our part. We'd done our part. Now it is down to you, the elected officials, not you, Blair. Fucking hell. No. To deal with this. By the way, I wouldn't, and just for the chat as well. Even though I think Blair's against this, do you think he would get elected into the House of Lords at some point?
I thought you didn't get elected into the House of Lords.
I think you get chosen, don't you?
Yeah, you're not elected by the people at least.
No, but I think
it's not democratic.
No, because I know I don't know if I think he's against that, the House of Lords. I think, but I think if he got offered it, I think he'd take it. I think he'd take it.
Yeah, of course he would. Any way to try and influence British politics.
I also think, and this would be the perfect hypocrisy from this guy. I think Jeremy Corbyn would as well.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Let's do a few more minutes of this.
But should continue up to and until a final judgment on membership of the EU, when set against the new relationship our government has negotiated, once we know it. If the people are to be trusted with the decision to leave before we know the terms of exit, why, once we have that knowledge, are they now suddenly disqualified and seemingly incapable of making the decision on whether the terms of exit meet their approval?
Oh, you're such a fucking idiot. Okay. Firstly, talking down the voters, I know the context, but seriously, you're talking down the voters again. This snobbery of yours is quite unbecoming of a former Prime Minister that led illegal warfare. Because he loved George Bush's tight jeans.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, those jeans were so tight they made him walk into a closet rather than walk out.
Wasn't there a transcript from the inquiry into the Iraq War that basically caught the fucker saying, look, I don't care whether the people want to go to war or not, or whether they actually have weapons of mass destruction. America says we're going, so we're going. Or something along the lines of that.
Oh, yes. I know this transcript very well. I have read it.
Yeah.
And that it's not a quote. It's a summary. It is what was said, and it was so... It was fabulous, let's face it. Just to see this idiot, the same guy who talks down the people all the time. He is one of those very people that thinks he is above the people, all the while talking like he is one of them. He's not one of us. He is an absolute joke.
He's an elite.
He's an elitist.
And he's walking around talking to us as if we are scum that can't read and don't think that we won't notice
but he's still putting forward this idea, though. This theory that once, even though we voted to on something else, we should then want to vote on something else. But considering how many people have talked down the first vote and those that voted one way to begin with, talking down their level of intelligence, are you now what? You're going to maybe do a different campaign to try and get people to talk a different tune with the actual result? I don't know how you intend to push forward with this, because you then surely would want to not use scaremongery to persist with this idea of getting people to want to vote or call for another referendum. Just when you've got the deal in your hands, you must now decide to, yes, 2020 PM me. I think actually
I find actually that most Remainers, well, Ramonas, we'll call them that because I don't want to insult several million people. Yeah. We'll just call the Ramonas act exactly the same way that Blair does, talking to us. Like, for example, what's long-haired scientist YouTuber, forget his name.
Thunderfoot.
That's it, Thundercunt. After the whole Brexit thing, he's like, "Oh, you fucking idiots!"
Yeah. I remember this.
University.
I remember this. That snobbery, the elitism. It's actually kind of quite weird to see people like Johnson actually being the voice of reason in that, which really bugged me, because I didn't want to. But Boris is just funny. He's not someone I want to throw my weight behind, other than because he's funny. And by the way, Rothick, Moisty for PM in 2020. I think you want to throw your weight behind Lord Blair, I believe, for Mayor of London in 2020. Is that then?
Well, technically speaking, it's not Lord Blair for Prime Minister.
Oh,
it's
my
just
mistake.
me. It's
Irate Blair.
It's just it's Blair for Mayor.
Yeah.
2020.
Oh, did you hear Styx Hexenhammer is going for Governor of Vermont?
Yes, I was very impressed.
I saw his video earlier. I was quite impressed, actually. Yeah, the libertarian politics in America. Yeah, I want to see that grow. I really do.
It's quite. I quite like American politics in that way, that you could run as an independent.
Yeah.
And actually do something about it.
Absolutely.
Whereas for us, for the most part, if you want to represent a constituency, you're going to have to really join one of the two main parties.
Yeah. Okay. As far as Thunderfoot goes, I don't agree with his politics, but I have always liked his anti-feminist videos. They're very funny. I've always liked, even though he used the same memes in every single one, it was still funny. I still liked like his science as someone that did science at uni. I appreciate his contributions on this platform. It is brilliant.
Yeah, I used to enjoy Thunderfoot as well, but
I try and obviously
sort of went a bit nuts.
his politics and his leaving the skeptic community video. Oh my god, that was as cringy as the atheist gamers one as well. I couldn't stomach it. It was so funny. I thought it was Irate Otter for Mayor. No, she's Scouse.
No, he's drunken uncle calls me an otter, as in the gay sense.
Squatting erudite is better than Thunderfoot in every way. I don't know who that is, if that's a person or
I remember Squatting erudite.
Oh, right. Does
he still create content?
I don't know. I've never heard of them.
Oh.
You have to look them up. I have no idea. I'm just reading the chat.
I'll wait for them to get back.
I'll play one more little clip from this because it's nearly midnight and I've got to be up at 6, so I'll do a little more, like one more clip, and then we'll stop because this is silly now. I'll fuck off with the applause.
Oh, he's so brave, isn't he?
You could tell he's biting back the tears. He, much like Cameron, he got a 10-minute standing ovation on his final time as Prime Minister in PMQs. He got 10 minutes standing ovation. This thunder cunt, this actual dribbling spastic, the actual epitome of elitish snobbery, got 10 minutes standing ovation by obviously a room.
You know why though? You know why? Because he was a fucking blue Labour cunt, wasn't he? He was a red Tory.
It's not just that though, right? He knew when he was leaving. He fucking well knew Cameron was going to beat him in 3 years.
Oh yeah. Oh
dear. I promised I'd do one proper clip. Let's try and get to this end of this stupid applause.
Yet this is where we are. It is for this reason that Parliament today assumes such a special significance. We cannot rely on the government. It has been plain for a long time that their primary interest, given the divisions, is to keep the facade of unity.
Yeah, that's such a bad idea, right? Well, I'm not going to refute that because our government is quite divided. We know this. I stand by the idea that I think it's a good thing. I think it's good because then they keep their prime minister on her toes. I say that even if even if it was still David Cameron, I think it's good. Although if it was him, I think he would do a marginally better job reaming Jeremy Corbyn than May does. I mean, seriously. He's in a rut at the moment. Oh right, okay, that must be about squatting erudite. I will check this guy out. By the way,
I'll go have a look at his channel quick just to see what's going on.
That's cool. What I'll do, because obviously it's midnight now, and I've got to be up at 6:30, so I'm going to end the stream. Did you want to shill anything before I ended tonight, Irate Bear?
Yeah, I've got a brand new video talking about Syria, which I uploaded to the Irate Bear channel. I've just put out my second Let's Play to the gay anime dating simulator.
Did you want to give me those links? Either put them in the chat or give them to me so I can put them in the description.
Hold on a second. I'll just give you my latest video, which is public now, because I don't make my videos public immediately. You see anymore. I give them to my $5 patrons and above for an hour, and then I release the main video.
Yeah, I used to do something similar an hour before, but then I got bored waiting.
Yeah, but I do other things.
Yeah,
I've been a good thing about having 2 channels.
Yeah, been a tad busy. Like, I don't know why I felt the need to do this, but I've been making a lot of videos this week. So I put the new video in the chat. I'll put it in the description as well. We're still on.
Are we getting a new Omegon video tomorrow?
Yeah, I finished editing it tonight. I did have a couple of I'm going to talk. It's only short. It's going to be about 5 minutes long. Talking about the H3H3 thing. And I've unintentionally inserted a joke I didn't realise was a joke in there. Which is a clip from Alex Jones. I didn't realise until after, where he talks about the biggest threat to society are the trans people, and then he goes on to talk about cyborgs. So I just put underneath it, shit transition. Right. Anyway, yes, go check out the video I put in the description. Hello, says Ophiel. My apologies for ending it as you wake up. And good night, everyone.